Hello students, welcome to online maths classroom. Today we are going to start with inverse trigonometric functions. In part 1 of this topic, we will take basic concepts, graphs of inverse trigonometric functions and some properties. So let us start with it. Inverse trigonometric functions. So let us start with some basic concepts that we have studied in our topic trigonometric functions of class +1. Like we studied that sine function is having its domain as set of real numbers and ranges up to this closed interval -1, 1. Cosine function is mapping from R to closed interval -1, 1. Tangent function is your R minus 2n plus 1 pi by 2. Okay. R minus 2n plus 1 pi by 2, n belongs to z to R. Cotangent is R minus x is equal to n pi for n belonging to z and approaching to R. Now why these, if you remember these conditions, like you know, what is the sine function? Sine is your, this tan function is your sine x upon cos x. Okay, it is sine x upon cos x. I am doing it for sine x upon cos x, right? Now cos x should not be equal to 0, right? So you know cos 90 is 0 and any odd multiple of cos 90 is 0. So that's why we should avoid taking it. Similarly, in case of cot function, the cot can be taken as cos x upon sin x. And now we should avoid taking sine 0. Okay, and you know sine is 0 when it is integral multiple of pi. Okay, so that's why these conditions we have to leave those numbers which make this denominator 0. And secant is similarly 1 upon cos, so same condition of tangent here, and it's mapping from this r minus x is equal to odd multiple of pi by 2, right? And it is mapping for r minus -1 1 open interval. Similarly, cosecant is like r minus open interval -1 1, and it is here r minus x is equal to, like it is 1 upon sine, so same condition of sine comes here. Okay. We also have learned in chapter 1 that if f is mapping from x and y, right, then f x equal to y is 1 1 and on to. Then we define a unique mapping G mapping from y to x such that G of y equal to x, where x belongs to x and y belongs to y. Okay, where y is equal to fx is the function, right? So we have learned this is the concept of our inverse, right? If a function is x is mapping from f is mapping from x to y, then if a function is both 1 1 and on to, then a unique inverse exists and is given by G mapping from y to x, right? And where x element is coming from x and y is coming from y. Hence, the domain of G equal to range of f and range of G equal to domain of f. Then the function G is called the inverse of f and is denoted by f inverse. Further, G is also 1 1 and on to, right? Inverse of G is f and we define that G inverse is equal to f inverse whole inverse equal to f. This all we have done in our topic number 1. And we also proved that f inverse OF of x equal to f inverse of fx equal to f inverse y equal to x, and f inverse y equal to f of f inverse y equal to fx equal to y, right? Since the domain of sine is the set of all real numbers and range is closed interval -1 1, right? So what we need to do, we need to restrict our domain to minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Then only this function becomes 1 1 and on to with range closed interval -1 1, right? So actually sine function restricted to any of the intervals, like we restrict the domains in any of the interval, this becomes 1 1 and its range goes to your -1 to 1 closed interval. You know, sine function have maximum value 1 and minimum -1. Therefore, we define inverse of sine function in each of these intervals. Okay, in any of these intervals, we denote the inverse of sine by this sine inverse, or we called it as arc sin x. Okay, and sine inverse x is a function whose domain is -1, 1. Okay, and range could be any of the intervals like this -3 pi by 2 to -pi by 2, -pi by 2 to pi by 2, or pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, and so on, right? Corresponding to each such interval, we get a branch of such function sine inverse, and this branch with range, this -pi by 2 to pi by 2, is called principal value branch. Whereas other intervals as range give different branches of sine inverse, when we refer to the function sine inverse, we take it as a function whose domain is -1 to 1 and ranges from closed interval -pi by 2 to pi by 2, and we write like this. Okay, sine inverse, and it is -1 to 1 mapping from this x to y, -pi by 2 to pi by 2. And remember sine x will be its reverse, like it will be from -pi by 2 to pi by 2 to -1, 1, right? So from the definition of inverse function, it follows that sine of sine inverse x equal to x if x is lying between -1 and 1, and sine inverse of sine x equal to x if x is lying between -90 and 90. In other words, if y equal to sine inverse x, then sine y equal to x. It can also be shown that the graph of an inverse function can be obtained from the corresponding graph of original function as a mirror image or reflection along the line y equal to x. This can be visualized by looking the graph of y equal to sine x and y equal to sine inverse x. Now remember the graph of our sine x. This is the graph of our sine x, like 0, pi by 2, pi, right? You can see all these values plotted, and it takes maximum value 1 and minimum -1, and this is how we plot the sine wave. Okay, this is how we plot the sine wave, right? So sine wave can be plotted in this manner. Okay, so this is my sine wave, right? Similarly to this side also. And this is the graph of sine inverse x when I'll plot the graph of my sine inverse x. So you know that when we will be plotting the graph for sine x, like we will be plotting like xy table, and now for sine inverse x it will be your yx table. So the graph is same, but it is now in this shape, means it is now along y-axis. Okay, so y is your sine inverse x. And what if we plot it all together on this one, okay, on this one, and take a line y is equal to x. So what do we get? See the plot of my y equal to sine x and y equal to sine inverse x. I will find that it is a mirror image or reflection along the, both these are mirror image or reflection along the line y equal to x. Like sine function, the cosine function is also a function whose domain is the set of real numbers and range is closed interval -1 to 1. And if we need to restrict the domain of cosine function to this closed interval 0 pi, then it becomes 1, 1 and on 2 with range -1 and 1. Okay, so the cosine function actually can be restricted in intervals -pi, 0, 0 pi and pi 2 pi. Okay, you can see from here like it can be restricted in during this say pi 2 pi. Okay, then it is from 0 to pi, like you can see from 0 to pi, you can see the see this. Okay, so 0 to pi, and then -pi to 0, you can see from -pi to 0, see from here. So you will find that it is behaving restricted in this restricted areas, means I can't see anything for this whole. But if I'm restricting it like this, means in this span, during this span, and then during this span, you will find that this function behaves both 1, 1 and on 2, that is bijective with range as -1 to 1. So you can see the maximum and minimum values here also. Similar case has been discussed in your sine function. So we define the inverse of cosine function in each case. We denote the inverse of cosine x by cos inverse. Okay, and is a function whose domain is -1, 1 and range could be any of the intervals. But again, the thing is about the principal value. So principal value branch is having the range as 0 to pi. Okay, principal value branch. So cos inverse is my function which is ranging from -1 to 1, and it is up to, means this is x, and cos f of x to y, like so this is -1 to 1 domain and ranges 0 to pi. And the graph of function given by y equal to cos inverse x can be shown in the same way as discussed about the graph of sin inverse x, right? So this is the graph of cos x. Okay, so you can see from here that, say if we talk about this, so here the function is behaving bijective, right, like this as we discussed. If I talk about here in this span, so it is behaving bijective, but for principal value branch, this is the principal value branch. Okay, the principal value branch, which is your 0 to pi. Okay, and the graph, see, this is the graph of cos x, this is the graph of cos x, right? And both are mirror images as sine inverse. Okay, similarly, cosecant x is your 1 upon sine, and the domain of cosecant function is your set of all real numbers such that x is not equal to n pi, as I told you that sine x should not be equal to 0. And the range is set of real numbers y belongs to r y greater than equal to 1 and y less than equal to -1. And the set of r minus -1. It means that cosecant x assumes all real values except my -1 and 1, and is not defined for integral multiples of pi also. You know this because in that case sin x will be 0. And if we restrict the domain of cosecant function to this minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 closed minus 0, then it will be 1, 1 and on 2 with range as r minus -1. So cosecant function can be restricted again to these intervals, like all these intervals. Then it becomes both bijective, and bijective means both 1, 1 and on 2. And range is same as r minus -1, open interval minus 1, 1. Okay, but cosecant inverse x, you know that if I need to talk about the principal value branch, so the principal value branch will be just this one. Okay, closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 minus leaving behind 0, right? So cosecant inverse x is function which is r minus open interval minus 1, 1 to this closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. This is the domain and this is the range. And these are the graphs of my y equal to cosecant x and y equal to cosecant inverse x. So this is the graph of, we did it in earlier class, this is the graph of y equal to cosecant x, and this is the graph of y equal to cosecant inverse x. Okay, so you can see that x changes to y. The whatever is happening means you will flip this figure will be coming. Okay, so what was happening on x, now it is happening along y. Again, secant is your 1 upon cos x, domain is your r minus x such that x is odd multiple of pi by 2 for n belongs to z, and range is again r minus open interval minus 1, 1 means it assumes all values except -1 and 1, and again is not defined for odd multiples of pi by 2, right? And we restrict the domain of secant function from this 0 pi closed interval to minus pi by 2. Then it becomes both 1, 1 and on 2, and range is again r minus -1, 1. And again, now you know that secant function can be restricted to any of this intervals like this one, and this one, where it behaves both bijective, and range is same as this. But you know, I have to talk about the principal value branch. Okay, so my principal value branch is just 0 to pi minus pi by 2, right? So secant inverse can be defined as r minus -1, 1 to 0 to pi minus pi by 2. And the graph of both secant functions, see here, this is the graph of secant, and now it is secant inverse x. So again you see x is turning to y and y is turning to x. We know the domain of tan function now. Tan function is the set, tan is sine upon cos, remember. So as in secant, cos was not 0, but x should not be odd multiple of pi by 2. And the range is r. It means tan function is not defined for odd multiples of pi by 2. So if we restrict the domain of tan to minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 open interval, as you know, we remember we have plotted the graph of tan function like this last year, right? Then it becomes 1, 1 and on 2 with range r. And now tan is also your 1, 1 and on 2 are bijective in these intervals also. But again, if we talk about the principal value branch, that is open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, right? So tan inverse can be defined as a function from r to open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So this is the graph of my tan x, and now again see flipped graph. Now what is happening along x is now happening along y, right? because there is interchange of values of x and y. So this is my graph of tan inverse x. Now cotangent, if we talk about, cot is your cos upon sine. So same as cosecant case, x belongs to r, x not equal to n pi, because sine is my 0. Okay. So and range is same as r. It means cotangent function is not defined for integral multiples of pi. So if we restrict the domain of cotangent function to 0 pi open interval, then it becomes bijective and the range is also r, right? And also it is again having bijective behavior in these intervals. Minus pi to 0, 0 to pi, pi to 2 pi is bijective and range is same as r. But you know that I have to take only the value branch. So my principal value branch is open interval 0 pi. So cot inverse is defined as a function mapping from r to 0 pi open interval. So this is my graph of cot x and this is cot inverse x. So you can see how the graphs are flipped. Okay, so now let us summarize our principal value branches and the tables with domain and range. Okay, so just remember your this trigonometric functions, their domain and range, and now see the domain and range of your inverse trigonometric function. So sine inverse is having domain as closed interval minus 1 1 and range as closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Remember sin x, domain was this and range was closed interval minus 1 1. Okay, so sine is mapping from x to y and inverse is mapping from y to x. Cos inverse, your domain is minus 1 to 1 and range is closed interval 0 pi. Cosecant inverse, your domain is r minus open interval minus 1 1, means I can't take my endpoints minus 1 and 1, and my range is closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, leaving behind 0 minus singleton set 0. Secant inverse domain is r minus 1 1, again same as cosecant inverse x, and my range is 0 to 2, 0 to pi, close interval minus pi by 2. Okay, so see the connection between how to remember. You can see here that sine domain is this. Okay, so cosecant will be r minus open interval this one, and my the range is this interval minus 0. Okay, so it's easy to remember. Similarly, cos inverse is having connection with my secant inverse and it is leaving behind 90. Okay, tan inverse domain is r and range is open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Cot inverse domain is r and range is 0 to pi open. Now some important information which you should keep in mind. Sin inverse x should not be confused with sin x whole inverse. Sin x whole inverse means 1 upon sin x, and similarly for other trigonometric functions. Okay, so there is a difference, right? Whenever no branch of an inverse trigonometric function is mentioned, we mean we are talking about the principal value branch of that function. The value of inverse trigonometric function which lies in the range of principal branch is called the principal value of that inverse trigonometric function. Now let us start with some examples, like find the principal value of sin inverse 1 by root 2. Okay, so how to deal with this question, that sin inverse 1 by root 2 is y, then sin y is 1 by root 2. Now we know that range of principal value branch is my minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 and sin pi by 4 is your 1 by root 2. Okay, so therefore principal value of this sin inverse 1 by root 2 will be pi by 4, which belongs to this principal value branch. Cot inverse minus 1 by root 3, let it is equal to y. So cot y is minus 1 by root 3, right? So it is minus cot pi by 3. So you know we can write cot 180 minus theta as minus cot theta. So it is cot 2 pi by 3. And the range of principal value branch of cot inverse is your 0 pi, and definitely 2 pi by 3 is lying between 0 pi. So the principal value of cot inverse is 2 pi by 3. Properties of inverse trigonometric functions. In this section, we shall prove some important properties of inverse trigonometric functions. It may be mentioned that here these results are valid within the principal value branch of our corresponding inverse trigonometric functions and whenever they are defined. Okay. Some results may not be valid for all values of domains of inverse trigonometric functions. In fact, they will be valid only for some values of x for which the inverse trigonometric functions are defined. Okay, so this will need to take into consideration. We'll not go into detail of these values of x in domain as this discussion goes beyond the scope of the textbook. So if y is equal to sine inverse x, then x is sine y, and x is sine y, that means y equal to sine inverse x. This is equivalent to sine of sine inverse x equal to x if x belongs to closed interval -1 to 1, and sine inverse of sine x equal to x if x belongs to your closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. And same is true for other 5 trigonometric functions as well. Now let us prove some properties of inverse trigonometric functions. So number one is sine inverse 1 upon x equal to cosecant inverse x for x greater than equal to 1 or x less than equal to -1, and cos inverse 1 upon x equal to secant inverse x for x greater than equal to 1 or x less than equal to -1, and tan inverse 1 upon x equal to cot inverse x for x positive. So take this first one, right? As you know that sine x can be written as 1 upon cosecant x, or cosecant x can be written as 1 upon sine x. So this kind of link is there. You can see while remembering these properties, right? So take the first result, put your this right hand side element cosecant inverse x equal to y, y is, okay? So x will become cosecant y, okay? Cosecant inverse x equal to y implies x is cosecant y. Now 1 upon x, I have to change it to sine. So 1 upon x is sine y. So operate both sides by sine inverse. I'll get sine inverse 1 by x equal to y, right? So who is y? Y is my cosecant inverse x. So this is how we prove that sine inverse 1 upon x equal to cosecant inverse x. Similarly, other two parts can be proved. Number 2 is sine inverse minus x equal to minus sine inverse x for x belong to closed interval -1, 1. Tan inverse minus x equal to minus tan inverse x for x belong to R. And cosecant inverse minus x equal to minus cosecant inverse x for mod x greater than equal to 1. Okay. So take the first one, sine inverse minus x equal to y implies minus x equal to sine y. Okay. Now to take negative sign to other side, I'll multiply by -1, that is x equal to minus sine y, right? Okay, now since sine is an odd function, so minus sine y can be written as sine of minus y. And now this is not possible in case of your cos function. Okay, that's why cos is not in this list. It has different conversion. Okay, so you can see it can be written as sine of minus y. Now x is equal to sine of minus y. So operating both sides by sine inverse, I'll get sine inverse x equal to minus y. So who is minus y? Your y is your minus sine inverse minus x, right? So this is how we prove sine inverse of minus x. Okay, take this negative sign to this side. So sine inverse of minus x equal to minus sine inverse x. And similarly, we can prove the other parts. Number 3 is cos inverse minus x is pi minus cos inverse x for x lying between closed interval -1 and 1. Secant inverse minus x is pi minus secant inverse x for mod x greater than equal to 1, and cot inverse minus x is pi minus cot inverse x for x belonging to R. Okay, so as in case of sine inverse, cosecant inverse and tan inverse, they behave as like sine inverse minus x is minus sine inverse x, but here cos inverse, secant inverse and cot inverse will come out as pi minus form. Okay, so let us start with it. Cos inverse minus x equal to y, the proof of first one. So it gives me minus x equal to cos y. Okay. Now that means your x, multiply both sides by 1 -1. I'll get it as x equal to minus cos y. Now cos 180 minus theta is minus cos theta. So I'll adjust it like this. Because cos is an even function, I can't take it like cos of minus y, right? So it will be written as cos 180 minus theta. Now x is equal to cos pi minus y, operating both sides by cos inverse x. What will I get? I will get cos inverse x equal to pi minus y, which is pi minus your cos inverse y is your cos inverse minus x. So cos inverse minus x. Okay, take this, retain it to other side, take it to other side, and bring this cos inverse x to this side. So this becomes cos inverse minus x equal to pi minus cos inverse x. Similarly, we can prove the other parts. Number 4 is sine inverse x plus cos inverse x is pi by 2 for x belonging to closed interval -1, 1. Tan inverse x plus cot inverse x is pi by 2 for x belonging to R, and cosecant inverse x plus secant inverse x equal to pi by 2 for mod x greater than equal to 1. So let us state the first one, sine inverse x equal to y, x equal to sine y. Now how can we change sine to cos? Cos 90 minus theta. Okay, so sine y can be written as cos 90 minus y, right? Now x is equal to cos 90 minus y. Operate both sides by cos inverse. I will get cos inverse x equal to cos inverse cos will get cancelled, and I'll just get pi by 2 minus y. So y is your sine inverse x. So it will becomes pi by 2 minus sine inverse x. Okay, hence take it to other side also. So it becomes sine inverse x plus cos inverse x equal to pi by 2. So similarly, we can prove the other results. Number 5 is tan inverse x plus tan inverse y equal to tan inverse x plus y upon 1 minus xy upon xy less than 1, and tan inverse x minus tan inverse y is equal to tan inverse x minus y upon 1 plus xy for xy greater than minus 1, and 2 tan inverse x equal to tan inverse 2x upon 1 minus x square for mod x less than 1, right? So take tan inverse x equal to theta, x is equal to tan theta, and tan inverse y equal to phi, so y is equal to tan phi. Okay, now as see here the sign is of plus, so I'll start with tan theta plus phi, which is tan theta plus tan phi upon 1 minus tan phi. Fill all the values taken from here, x plus y upon 1 minus xy. Now operate both sides by tan inverse. I'll get it as theta plus phi equal to tan inverse x plus y upon 1 minus xy. Now replace the values of theta and phi. I'll get tan inverse x plus tan inverse y equal to tan inverse x plus y upon 1 minus xy. Right? So similarly, what we can do is that if we replace, say in the same formula, if I replace y by minus y, I'll get the second result, and by replacing y by x, I'll get the third result. Okay, so this can also be proved following this result. Question number 6 is 2 tan inverse x equal to sine inverse 2x upon 1 plus x square for mod x less than equal to 1. 2 tan inverse x equal to cos inverse 1 minus x square upon 1 plus x square for x greater than equal to 0, and 2 tan inverse x equal to tan inverse 2x upon 1 minus x square for x lying between minus 1 and 1 open interval, right? So if you remember those formula where 2 tan theta upon 1 plus tan square theta was sine 2 theta, 1 minus tan square theta upon 1 plus tan square theta was cos 2 theta, and 2 tan theta upon 1 minus tan square theta was tan 2 theta. So we will be using these formulae in proving these problems. Okay, so tan inverse x equal to y, then x equal to tan y. Now take your right hand side, sine inverse 2x upon 1 plus x square. After this substitution becomes your sine inverse 2 tan y upon 1 plus tan square y. Now this is the formula for your sine 2y as I discussed. So sine inverse sine 2y will be 2y, which is equal to 2 tan inverse x. Also cos inverse 1 minus x square upon 1 plus x square will be your cos inverse 1 minus tan square y upon 1 plus tan square y with the same substitution. And you know it very well that this is your formula for cos 2y. So cos inverse cos 2y will be 2y, which is equal to 2 tan inverse x. And the third problem can also be worked out similarly. Number 3 is very important one. Show that sine inverse 2x root 1 minus x square equal to 2 sine inverse x when x is lying between minus 1 by root 2 and root 2. Okay, minus 1 by root 2 and 1 by root 2. And your sine inverse 2x root 1 minus x square, it will be equal to 2 cos inverse x if x is lying between 1 by root 2 and 1. Okay, so let us see this result. Like for the first one, okay, put x is equal to sine theta. As you know here, your sine inverse x equal to theta, so x will be sine theta. Now consider this left hand side, sine inverse 2x root 1 minus x square is sine inverse, it becomes 2 sine theta, and root 1 minus sine square, that gives you cos theta. Now 2 sine theta, cos theta is the formula for sine 2 theta, and we get it as 2 theta, which is your 2 sine inverse x. Okay, and similarly for the second case, what we will do, we will take x as cos theta, and you can prove that sine inverse 2x root 1 minus x square equal to 2 cos inverse x. Okay, just remember that when x is lying between minus 1 by root 2 and 1 by root 2, this conversion will be equal to 2 sine inverse x, and for x lying between 1 by root 2 and 1, the conversion will be of 2 cos inverse x. Now let us recapitulate the important things done in this topic. The domains and ranges, that is principal value branches of inverse trigonometric functions, can be remembered as like see here, sine inverse x, cos inverse x. The domains are same, closed interval minus 1 to 1, okay, for both. And the range for sine inverse x is closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, whereas for cos inverse it is 0 to pi closed interval. Again, for cosecant inverse and secant inverse x, the domain is same, r minus open interval minus 1 1, means minus 1 and 1 are not included, both here. Okay, and the ranges are, you have to remember the for cosecant, same thing is there, that you have to take the range of minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 closed interval, leaving behind the element 0. Okay, and for secant inverse x, it is like 0 to pi minus pi by 2. And for tan inverse and cot inverse x, the domains are same as real numbers, and the ranges can be remembered as the range of sine inverse x for tan inverse x with open interval, okay, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, and the range of cos inverse x for cot inverse, that is, but just it is closed interval 0 to pi, and it is open interval 0 to pi. Next important thing we have done is that sine inverse x should not be confused with sine x whole inverse, right? Because sine x whole inverse means 1 upon sine x, right? And similarly, this thing is true for other trigonometric functions also. The value of inverse trigonometric functions which lies in the principal value branch is called as the principal value of that inverse trigonometric function. Now for suitable values of domain, what we have, y is equal to sine inverse x will imply x equal to sine y, and x equal to sine y will imply y equal to sine inverse x, right? Now see here, the sine of sine inverse x will be equal to x. Sine inverse 1 upon x is cosecant inverse x, cos inverse 1 upon x is secant inverse x, tan inverse 1 upon x is cot inverse x. Okay, and sine inverse x of sine inverse of sine x is x. Cos inverse minus x will be pi minus cos inverse x. Similarly, cot inverse minus x will be pi minus cot inverse x, and secant inverse minus x will be pi minus secant inverse x. Sine inverse minus x is minus sine inverse x. Okay, right? Tan inverse x plus cot inverse x is 90. Sine inverse x plus cos inverse x is 90, right? Tan inverse minus x is minus tan inverse x. Cosecant inverse minus x is minus cosecant inverse x. Cosecant inverse x plus sine secant inverse x is 90. And these formulas, tan inverse A plus tan inverse B is tan inverse A plus B upon 1 minus AB. And for the formula of minus, it will be A minus B upon 1 plus AB type, right? And 2 tan inverse x is tan inverse 2x upon 1 minus x square. Okay, and 2 tan inverse x can be written as like this also. It is sine inverse 2x upon 1 plus x square, and cos inverse 1 minus x square upon 1 plus x square. Now let us recapitulate the graphs of inverse trigonometric functions. Now see the inverse sine graph, it was there, as we have understood that to make the trigonometric functions bijective, means both 1 1 and onto, we need to restrict the domain. Okay, so the domain is restricted like here from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Okay, and the range is between, you can see from here, it is between minus 1 and 1 closed interval, because both these end values are also included, right? And this is the graph of my sine inverse x, right? So here the property of inverse function says that this is sine inverse x. So here the range will become here domain, and domain will become here the range. Okay, so this way we can take these values, and the graph will be like this. Okay, now if we say that the graph of this inverse sine function and your sine function, that is mirror image, okay, mirror image of each other on this line y is equal to x. Okay, now these are few other inverse trigonometric graphs. This is for sine x and arc sine x. Arc sine x means sine inverse x. Okay, so these days we conveniently write them just as sine inverse x, right? So these are the graph, how it is behaving, see from here. This is the graph of my cos x, okay, cos x, right, between 0 to n pi, and range is minus 1 to 1. So this is my graph of your arc cos x or cos inverse x, right, with domain minus 1 and 1 and range 0 pi. This is my graph of tan x, right, domain minus pi by 2 and pi by 2 and range minus infinity to infinity. And this is my graph of tan inverse x. Okay, this is my graph of tan inverse x, right, and domain is from minus infinity to infinity and range is minus pi by 2 to pi. So these are all graphs of your inverse trigonometric functions for remembrance, that how we can draw. This is for cos inverse x with domain and range, right? This is for sine inverse x with domain range. This is for my tan inverse x with domain and range. Okay, and this is the graph of my secant inverse x. okay, with domain and range, right? This is the domain and this is my range, okay? And this is my graph of cosecant inverse x, right? Cosecant inverse x. And this is my graph of cot inverse x, right? And here these are the corresponding domains and ranges of inverse trigonometric functions. Okay, the understanding of graphs will help you to understand the concepts in better way. So I hope the concept of inverse trigonometric functions is clear to you. The exercises 2.1, 2.2 and miscellaneous exercises will be solved in part 2 of inverse trigonometric functions. Thank you so much.